let's talk about getting stronger in the gym. And, there's so many different approaches to building strength. We can focus on lower reps, we can focus on higher reps, we can focus on, just the tried and true big three power lifts, right? We can do some more rotational stuff. First we need to decide what your actual goals are. What are you actually trying to get stronger for? Are you trying to just put on muscle mass and have a more aesthetic body? Are you doing strength training for health and for your bone density and longevity? Are you a power lifter and you actually want to compete? Are you trying to bodybuild and compete? Or are you trying to maybe compete in something like a Spartan race or a triathlon or something like that? So we have to decide, what you're actually getting stronger for, what you're actually getting in shape for. And then once you have that intentionality, we can start to specify your training. Also, are you training sports specific? Are you a basketball or football player and you're just trying to, have that carry over more? So it really depends on what we're trying to do. But generally, when we're training in the gym and just talking about building muscle and strength, we got to focus on the exercise selection and the rep ranges. So exercise selection is super important. If you don't have a lot of experience, then we want to stick with stuff that isn't too crazy. We see stuff on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok all the time of people doing some very, out there type lifts and movements, maybe combining many different movements into one thing. And while all that is okay, if you don't have the skill set, I wouldn't suggest starting in that kind of area. I'd start with more 1 and 2 planes of motion, maybe some unloaded 3 planes of motion movement to just kind of really build that base. That's the most important thing, is like building that foundation. And then as you have that foundation and that good, strong base built, you can start to get more specific on what it is you're trying to do. But for general health, just kind of sticking with some bodybuilding and some powerlifting and maybe some calisthenics, some body weight movements, I think is a good place to start. Intensity is going to be the number one key to building muscle and strength. So that means, taking each set close to failure. So, if you are doing shoulder press, for instance, and, you're able to get 10 and you don't feel gassed, you probably could do 10 more, then that's just not enough. That stimulus isn't going to be powerful enough to tell your body to grow, right? We have to be flirting with that edge of discomfort each time we're in the gym. Not saying you have to do that for every single thing. If you're warming up, like doing some external rotations with the band, you don't need to do 45 sets of that and absolutely annihilate yourself. So some things we just want to keep a little bit lower and just kind of get some blood flowing. But for the most part, our working sets should be close to failure, where the reps in reserve are between 1 and 3. So basically, if I really had to, I could probably do 1 more, or I could do 3 more. But I was close to my edge. And so whether you're training with 3 reps or 15, 25 reps, that holds true. So, if you're doing three reps on a heavy squat, you want that 3rd rep to be really challenging. Maybe having 1 rep, maybe 2 reps left in the tank if you had to. If you're doing 25 reps, though, obviously you'd use a lower weight, but we still want to make sure that we're getting close to failure. And, this, we want to make sure we're maintaining our technique and our form. So the first rep and the last rep should look pretty similar. yeah, there's going to be little tweaks here and there. And like sometimes it's okay to grind through it and maybe allow your form to sacrifice just a little bit. But for the most part, we want to make sure that we're maintaining that integrity, in keeping our leverage of our biomechanical machine in check. So generally, when we're just focused on strength, right? So you can get strong without building a lot of mass and a lot of muscle. Just because you have a lot of muscle and mass doesn't necessarily mean you're the strongest in the gym. We see certain Olympic lifters and certain power lifters that keep a pretty low body weight, but can, move a lot of weight. There's some Asians in particular I'm thinking of that don't look like, at first sight, they don't look nearly as impressive as a bodybuilder, but they might be able to squat, 3 times their body weight, which is insane. As where there might be some big, jacked bodybuilders that can hardly fit through the door frame, but they don't have a ton of strength in relation to their body weight. So generally, strength, we want to focus on the lower rep ranges. This is where we're more focused on building that neuromuscular connection. We're focused more on the nervous system, basically telling our nervous system to recruit more muscle fibers to create a more powerful contraction. As where when we're focused on like hypertrophy and size, we're focused more on blood flow. We're focused more on that mind to muscle connection and less about strength. So, but they don't have to be separate. You can get strong and big at the same time. And that's just going to come with keeping that intensity high. And, if you want to get big, then you got to eat. You got to be eating in a surplus. Basically, you got to be eating more calories than you're burning. You probably want to make sure you're getting a good amount of carbohydrates, definitely protein, fats for sure. Obviously, you need all 3 macronutrients, but, if you're really trying to get big, you're probably going to have to eat more carbohydrates and maybe keep that fat just more moderate and that protein pretty high as well. So, generally rep ranges are going to be, that 1 to 4, and this is going to be using a certain energy system called the creatine-phosphate system. So this is for really high intense, short bursts of energy. So even certain sprints, like short sprints, can be using this energy system. As where when we start to kind of get into that, that 6+ range, we are using more anaerobic, so we're more sugar focused, this energy system. So we're going to be burning a lot of sugars, a lot of carbohydrates to fuel that movement. As where the lower intensity, higher rep stuff is going to be more aerobic, meaning it needs oxygen to burn the fuel,
usually fats. And this is how we create the contraction. So, things like running or even just like low intense, high rep strength movements can be, aerobic. So there's those three different energy systems. When we're that creatine, phosphate, and anaerobic, so sugar and creatine, those systems are going to be the best for building that strength, as where the aerobic is going to be best for building that endurance. But I think like everyone should strive to have some level of like full spectrum athleticism, meaning that you're not leaving one area too far behind. So I think it's good to kind of train all three energy systems consistently. Strength wise though, generally, we're talking about reps under 6. Sure, you can build strength with more reps, but that's like that strength endurance. And then, just muscular endurance, work capacity is going to be those higher reps, the 12, 15, 25 even, maybe even more. So these are all things to take into consideration if you want to just get stronger, if you want to get bigger, you want to get faster. At the end of the day, though, you got to have those workouts be intense each set. You got to eat to grow, and you got to sleep. You got to make sure you're recovering. You got to keep those stress levels in check so that you can sleep, so that you can calm that nervous system down and make sure
that you're actually recovering, that you're actually building new muscle. So hopefully you found this helpful, and be sure to comment, share, subscribe, and let me know what else you'd like to see moving forward.